Hello, welcome to watch my third Blender video. In this video I will show you how I made this fire effect for Nodevember day 2. But before we start, I want to quickly mention that I set up my Patreon and you can download this scene from there. You can take it like separately, but it's more economic if you take the cheapest lowest tier membership, and then you can download that scene and every other scene I will upload in future. I can't promise anything, but I'm quite sure that there will be more soon. Okay, let's get to this scene. So this is the node setup I have, and I like to mention that it's a bit finicky and there's some errors now and then, and what I did for the animation is just I find this setup that it doesn't break in any frame. So let's check the quick overview and then we get to the details. It all starts with the circle that we distort. We use some cosine waves or sine waves, and then we make it a little bit more distorted, and then we fill it so we have mesh instead curve, and then we duplicate and offset the curve or the mesh, the whole whatever. And we get this. So let's get to the details. It all starts with a circle that is modified by cosine wave. So currently the scene time is basically driving the cosine wave here. If we block off this, we see that this wave move if we change the value, and if we turn off the fall off by y-axis, we see that the wave goes around the curve. So let's turn that back on, and this here we get this moving wave, and this is for I had in the animation this kind of swing effect. It goes back and forth. It's because we have other cosine here, so it swings the added value. I don't know if it's good or bad. I turn it off because it's simple to see what's happening. So then we have this distortion here. What it does, it kind of breaks the wave, so every wave is a bit different always. So it's probably easier to see if I take this constant value, and if I change it, the wavelength gets longer or shorter. And now that I turn it on, it takes the values from the noise texture, which is also offset, and there we can map the range. So if we make this small and this big, the difference gets like bigger between the smallest and biggest wave. This fall off is quite simple. It basically modulates the offset value by the Y position. You can pause the video if you wanna inspect it. Next step is to add some noise to the wave, smaller noise. So this is the wave without noise, and this is after the noise. There's a small effect there. And I have the blur attribute here because the finickiness of the setup, it reduces the errors a bit, because when it kind of cuts off the hardest corners and stuff like that. The next step is to fill the shape. It's basically just fill curve and this rectangle here outside. So what I did, so I get the hole instead of this flame like this. Someone might want it that way. And then we finally get here, which is, in my opinion, the most interesting part of the setup. As here we create the layers. We have this repeat zone. We can create less or more layers and adjust the color here like this. And how it works is that it takes this shape from here. The first one is just passed to the output geometry. We also fork this original shape to the create layer group, where we create these offset inset layers. So let's check how that works. This is the group, and first thing we do, or first, I don't know which order, but it takes this shape from the last previous iteration into the group, and also it creates this grid. And from the grid we delete the faces that are close enough to the original shape, this one. So we get this hole, and as there is greater than node and offset, we get that offset for each layer. And from this grid we create these curves by selecting the boundary edges. This is just this one, and then we blur the curve, so instead of this pixelated curve we get this nice soft curve, and then we fill that curve and move it down a bit. If we change the value, it goes more down. This one here, it's just the last layer we see on the bottom. I can change the color so it makes it more clear what it is. And there's something here, I don't know, bake and switch for the bake. I made that for the animation, so when I keyframe the camera and stuff like that, it runs a bit smoother if it's baked. So I think that's all. If you are still here, that's just amazing. Drop a fire emoji on the comments if you are still here and find this interesting. And remember, you can get the scene file from the Patreon if you want to support me. So, see you next time.